Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the sixth session of the AI and automation class. But let me quickly set this up. All right, so I hope we're all doing well. I hope we've practiced. I hope we've learned a lot. And today is no different than other days. It's going to be very interesting. Now, but before I continue, let me quickly do a recap on what we did in our last class. Uh, Basically, we discussed on how to prompt our LLM, and I gave out uh, some structure that our prompt should contain so as to get an effective response from our AI. I hope you rewatched the last class. I will be continuing from there. And we also wrote our first prompt, and we see how our chat model was able to give us an effective response compared to when you will ask a non-specific question. And one of the things that we should always consider while writing our prompt. Let me quickly set this up. I need a whiteboard. Okay. Now, this session will be ending by next week. And by next week, you all should have had your project in mind. You'll be having a week for your project, and your project will be submitted after a week. Please do well to further announcement also about the intermediate session will be put across to us in due time. All right. From the very last class, one of the things that we must put into consideration as we've learned when prompting your AI is that your AI must be given a role to play. You must specify the role of your AI. And how do we do that? We can instruct it to adopt certain personality. For instance, we can say act as, then you state the role you want it to play. Another structure you could give is you can tell it you are a so and so, and you specify the personality. The number two things you must give to your AI, you must specify the task. In other words, you must specify the action you want it to perform. Actions. And I said these actions are verb. English students will tell you that a verb is a doing word. So you must specify actions. And actions include words like write, create, explain, Those are actions like build, like design. Now, these actions are used based on what you're trying to achieve. You can also say summarize. Those are actions. Now, depending on what you do, it determines the kind of action you will employ. Another thing we made mention of is that you must give a context to your AI. You must add a context. And what would we mean by context? You must tell the AI what you are trying to achieve. You must give a brief review of the situation you're trying to solve. So you add a context. I don't want to dwell more on this because we already did this in our last class. So if you are yet to rewatch the last class, please do yourself a favor and rewatch that class. Number four thing that we said is we must set a constraint. You must set a constraint so as to guide your AI not to go beyond the intended result. Okay, so you put your AI within limits. And one of the things we can set as a constraint is number one, the tone to adopt. The tone to adopt. You must tell your AI what tone to adopt. Now remember, I made mention of certain tones, such as you can ask it to use a professional tone. You can ask it to use a casual tone. You can also ask it to use like a persuasive tone. Persuasive tone. And moving on forward, another constraint that you can set is you must let it know your audience. Your audience. You must give it your audience. And also the length of what you're trying to get. Uh, Number five, we also say you can specify the format of what you want. The format, which could include a paragraph, step by step, or in bullet form. So these are the format you can specify that your AI should follow. Okay, and lastly, though it's optional, but it's also good that you know, is that you can give your AI an example of what you want. You can set an example for it to follow. You can set an example. All right. I hope we all understand. If you don't, please engage the chat session and your question will be attended to. But if you still have a question, you can still do well to signify, and I will give you the chance to do so. Okay, this is what we did in our last class, and we had an example, a prompt. Let me delete all this. Yes, we had this example where we wrote our first prompt, and the bottom line is that we assume our organization is a cook, and we want to create a social media post for high school students. Now, one thing you should note from this brief is that we have our audience, which are high school students, that we have what we want to do. We are trying to create a social media post. So having identified this in your prompt, then this will now help you to develop a good prompt for your AI. And in that you will specify your role that the AI should adopt. And in our case, we set up a role as an expert cook that knows how to prepare all African dishes. Okay, that was what we used as our role in the last class. And our task is that we are asking that the AI should write a Facebook post. And going on from there, we'll specify a context that is narrating what we are into and what we are trying to achieve. So we said we have knowledge of all sorts of Nigerian traditional meals for high school students. All right. And if you can see my screen very well, the constraint we set was that it should give us a composition of 300 words and to also adopt a tone, which is a casual tone. And I believe we all saw the result of what we got. And the number 5 thing was the format to give us a 2 paragraph. So this is the entire prompt that we did in the last class. And you all know the result. Just let me know if you need this prompt. I can forward it on you so that you test it out from your end. All right. So we'll be building on from there. And this time, we'll be creating a typical uh, chatbot that will help us to respond to whatever questions that the user might ask based off on our business. So I just need you to quickly launch your NATED cloud so you can practice with me. Please, if you have questions, just signify and I will give you that chance. All right, so the first thing before beginning our workflow, we said the first step is to add a trigger. And in our own case, our trigger will be our own trigger will be on when a chat message is received. And this is why I'm using this particular step. Now, like we explained, on the configuration section, it's asking if you want to make the chat publicly. Now, making it public has to do with you want to enable users from outside the system to gain access. And if I don't turn this on, which means I only have access to it within my workspace. Okay, so I will just turn this on so that anyone can access it. And that's all I'm doing on this session. Now, on the initial message, this is the part that the user sees. So I just want to greet the user and ask, what does the user want? Now, this is just pretty simple. The moment you can get this one, the next one in our next class will be easier for you. Okay, just pay close attention. So I will say, uh, I am the firm assistant. So you can say, how can I help you today? So we want to be polite. with our prompt. And so that's all we are giving it. So you can try to just open the chat, and you can see at the bottom here is giving me an option to enter my chat. So if I should enter a chat, for instance, you see it has received and assigned a session ID to that. So which means my on chat message is active and is ready to receive. So now once I receive this message, all I want to do is I want to pass that to an open AI. So my second step will be an open AI. Open AI. And what I want to do under my action is to message a model. I'm going to message a model. Now, I need you to be very careful on this part. Once you are assessing the open AI model for the very first time, anything will give you 100 OpenAI free credits to practice with. So you will see this at the top part of your screen that says claim credit. So just go ahead and smash that button to claim that credit. Now, the next thing I will do is the resource, just leave it as text because we want to only receive text from the user. Under my operation, the operation we are performing is to message a model, And under the model list, you will see different versions of the GPT model. But since we are only receiving uh, a chat from the user, so the least GPT version here should do the work. So I'll just go with GPT 4.1. Um, now our message will leave it as text. Now for the row, if you open this row, you will discover there are 3 rows there. But the question is, which one should we adopt? Now, when I said you should adopt a user role, what the user role does is to get a response from the model. So when you send your message, it sends it to the model and then gets the response and send back to you. Is this what we want? The answer is no. Now, for an assistant model, what that means is that you want to create uh, a chart on the Open AI playground, and you will assign it to adopt a particular personality that you can relate with. I give an example of the remitter chatbot. If you are familiar with a chatbot very well, you can only ask questions relating to remitter, relating to your payment, relating to queries about your receipt and all. So that's a typical example of an assistant. Right. But is that what we want? No. The system role, what that does is that it allows you to set the behavior and put your AI within certain context. And this is what we want our system to adopt. So I'll be giving it a system role. And you will see under your prompt category, this is where I tell my AI which role it should adopt. So to make this simple, we already had our prompt. I will just copy that we already developed our prompt in the last class. So I'll just copy that prompt like that. I'll just copy that prompt and then I'll just put it there. So this is what my AI is going to adopt. So let's see if we need to tweak it. You said you're an expert cook that knows how to prepare Nigerian meal and give a smell of yourself. Uh, okay. So let me remove this part. Okay. I will just blend this. So he knows how to prepare Nigerian meal. Uh, okay. Let's see. And also introduce, introduce the firm as a cook and get them to patronize the business using casual, casual and persuasive, persuasive, persuasive tone. All right. Okay. Let me add this. Let's say uh, you can also teach. See, I'm trying to refashion my model to suit what I'm doing. Okay. And can also, okay, I think I've made mention that there. All right, so this is all I need to describe for my AI, and that's done. So the next thing I will do right now is to add a message. Now, this part is a part of the user. I leave the type as text, and then I will allow it to play the role of the user. So what is the prompt? The prompt is whatever the user is typing. So you remember how we write our JSON code, or you just do a drag and drop here, just like this. And whatever prompt the user sends comes into this place. And then it sends it to the model and then gets back the response. So this is all we need to do in this category. And we'll just execute that step. Remember, we had a message on it, and you will see it has received the message. And look at it. It's giving a brief introduction. Welcome to the firm kitchen. So now it has even given us a name, coined a name for us. We are bringing you a vibrant, delicious flavor right to your plate. Whether you are craving jollof rice, egusi soup, and suya. So you can see it's receiving our message now. So let's test this out. I don't want to go too deep, because I remember the first time we introduced this topic, I told you that your AI, your AI model will require certain tools. But for now, we will not be using those tools. So let's just model. Let's ask some few questions. Let's say, can you teach how how to prepare the scene in step by step. So this is a question. Let's see what he's gonna give to us. So he's thinking about our question. Think we got a response? Yeah, this is a response. Yeah, he said, absolutely, I would love to teach you how to prepare delicious and yummy. So a beloved classic that's rich, hearty, and full of flavor. So let me introduce the friend, a passionate cook. And so you get the whole idea. And okay, let's change this view so that we can see it more clearly. Let me come here. I'll change this to schema. Okay, let's use table. I think it's fair enough. Yeah. Oh, all right. See the step by step part, how to prepare Nigeria receipt step by step. So it's telling you what cups of egusi seed and all and all and all and all. So this is a typical chatbot. And if you go back to your message in model, I told you about this public URL. Just copy that part and place it on your browser. Now, you see I'm having an error here. The reason for this error is because I have not published my work. Right now, it's only accessible on my N8N workspace here. So all I need to just do is to hit this button, publish, and then everyone will be able to access that. So I publish, it has given it a version. I told you about the version. Uh, yes. So I publish that. So if I just say refresh, boom. You see, this is how this is how it looks like. And you see the message we entered that greets the user. So this is how the user will interact with our chat model. Now there are other tools we could do, but we'll not be going into that. I don't want to make this class unnecessarily long. The goal is to give us a bite-sized content that we can digest at a go. In the next class, we'll continue. There is one thing with this chat. You see, if you message it from here, it will not respond because we need what is called an API keys. This is way more advanced. It's, uh, it's not within the scope of this class, and we'll give details on other classes that are coming. So this is where I will be calling it up. Why allow us to go and do our practice? Please drop your question on the chat and you will be duly clarified. And without further ado, see you on Monday. Thank you very much.